Hi, Taurus. This is Tisch Aitken, and this is your horoscope for the month of July. And we are in the middle of eclipse season, and a lot of change, a lot of big events are occurring for all of us. And Taurus is not a sign that particularly loves change, as it is a fixed earth sign. It's very stubborn and but also loyal and consistent and constant. But we are in a time of a lot of change and yet a lot of reflection because we begin the month of July and have a lot of planets in retrograde. So just to give a bit of a background, at the middle end of June, we had the summer solstice and we had a solar eclipse that occurred a little under 8 hours after this summer solstice occurred, when the sun enters 0 degrees of Cancer, and that's the world point. Anything at 0 degrees of a cardinal sign occurs at the world axis, and the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, and that really impacts all of us. It impacts people on the world stage, and it was a very, very powerful eclipse because it also was just within a degree of the north node of destiny. And for you, it fell in your third house of communication and sales and marketing and neighborhood activities. It deals with siblings and relatives, and again, very much about getting connected with the community locally, and also through taking classes and learning. And that, a solar eclipse is a time of setting intentions and of new beginnings. And that might be an area that you want to focus on because there is a lot of energy there, in the sense that Mercury, which rules the third house in astrology, it rules the house of communication and thoughts and ideas, and it also rules the house of work and daily routine, the sixth house in astrology. But both of them focus with analysis and really analyzing things in depth. And so with Mercury retrograde in this area for you, you may be reassessing how you're learning, how you can reframe your thoughts and ideas. Probably very distant memories from a long time ago are coming up for you for two reasons. Well, for a few reasons. We have many planets retrograde. The only planets that are currently not retrograde are Mars and Uranus. So, with all these planets retrograde, that is a big deal. And with Mercury retrograde, that's a personal planet, again, ruling our thoughts and ideas, in the sign of Cancer that rules childhood and early memories. And then we have Venus, which stationed direct on June 25th, but it was retrograde and out of bounds, meaning that it exceeds the sun's outer limit by declination, and just all over the place and very uncontrollable. And it was retrograding in your second house of value and income. And the second house is what is associated with the Taurus house. That is the Taurus house by solar astrology. So that, there's a lot of reassessment about your own value, because Uranus is also, it has been transiting in your sun sign since May of 2018 on and off. It will be for another few years. And that, again, is breaking free of old paradigms and things in your life that are no longer serving you. And again, Taurus may not like that and it resists it, but yet it's also about innovation. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. That's it's a sign that's a very creative earth sign, and it's a very manifesting sign. So you have that ability to do that already. And so Uranus is giving you the ingenuity and foresight to do it in a world that is permanently changed. And, with all of these planets that occurred in Capricorn at the very beginning of the year, when we had that historical Saturn-Pluto conjunction at the world axis, and Saturn being about structures and institutions and traditions, and about it represents the economy and it represents karma. And Pluto, which is the planet of death and transformation and power and it's about transcendence. It can also rule the underworld. It can rule dark expressions of manipulation and anger, and it can be, it can come from a very dark place, but transforming and up-leveling that energy. But that historical conjunction that occurs every 34 to 36 years, Saturn being in the sign that it rules in Capricorn, and the south node of karma was also in Capricorn at that time. The eclipses were in the Capricorn Cancer axis, and let's see, we had Jupiter, the planet of abundance and benevolence and expansion, also expanding that narrative and close to the south node of karma. And for you, all of that was taking place in the ninth house of belief systems and travel, and that's also associated with higher learning and college and education, but not also just through traditional learning, but really about learning through adventure and learning empirically and by experience. And I think that's another area that you're reconfiguring in your life, whether it's getting drawn to new areas of study or through doing more manifesting work, because the ninth house definitely deals with optimism and with faith, and it's ruled by Jupiter in astrology. It's the Sagittarius house, and that is connected with a sense of manifesting and believing that things can be a better way, and believing and looking at the big picture. But the south node of karma is transiting in that house for until March of 2022, or January of 2022 actually. So for a while longer, but that's an area that you are again releasing old belief systems. And it was a lunar eclipse on June 5th that took place in that house for you. And then the total solar eclipse in Cancer was in your third house of ideas, initiating those new beginnings. That's the biggest eclipse we have. And Mercury is retrograding in that area, again, helping you to, I think, come up with ways to really, whether it's that you're starting a new business venture, or you're in a job where you're wondering about the security and you're networking right now and maybe connecting with people from your past, because Venus being retrograde in Gemini enabled a lot of reconnecting with various areas of life, and also out of bounds, really emphasizing that energy. And that occurred in, again, the second house of income and how you earn money. So maybe old coworkers or people that you know through work in some form. And also, again, Venus rules your chart. It rules your sign. And so Venus retrogrades only once every year and a half, and it retrogrades in your sector of income and money and what's of value once every 8 years. So the last time that it did so was in June of 2012, and it won't happen again for another 8 years. And Venus is transiting in this house for you until August 8th. And so again, it's really figuring out what's of value. It's doing a lot of networking, and if you're in your own business, figuring out ways to market yourself, figuring out ways to learn, to up-level your skills. I know a Taurus that is 93, and he said this brilliantly, that because Taurus represents what's of value, among other things, and he said people have a great chance now, even though we're in a horrible time, that we have an opportunity to evolve. Well, he said to really improve our resources and to become creative and really expand what our resources are, and people have a chance to develop that. And that is a big deal, and that's a Taurus issue, being of value. So Uranus might be waking you up and shaking you up, and has been for a while, on and off since your birthday time in 2018, when it did initially enter on May 15th of 2018, but it's been transiting in your first house on and off since that time, and especially since last spring of 2019. And so, it is really about innovating and inventing a new self, and figuring out new things that are of value for you. And, I feel that there's a lot around restructuring, around, learning, again, perhaps going back to school or taking classes or webinars or teaching. Maybe you're doing something, or again, you have an opportunity to do something on the side where you have a skill that you're teaching, or you're figuring out that you want to do something else, because again, you're a very creative sign, and with Uranus transiting in your sign, once it leaves your sign, it won't come back for another 84 years. So it's a big deal to have this, and to have this, innovation available to you. And all of this restructuring for you, in Capricorn is compatible to Taurus. It forms what's known as a trine. That's 120 degrees. That's like a triangle. It's a very lucky aspect, especially when you have 3 planets trine. It's known as a grand trine, and that does form a triangle. But it's a very, very lucky and supportive influence. So you have a lot of support available to you. And Saturn in Aquarius is Saturn. Aquarius does square your sun sign, but sometimes that also gets you going. Squares do have that ability to stir things up, and Saturn's re-entering Capricorn, so it's going back to your 9th house of belief systems and career and such. So I think this is a very good time for you, and I think that just really focus on what's of value. It's a lot of retrograde energy. Let's see here. There's going to be another new moon that takes place on June 20th that occurs at 28 degrees of Cancer, and that's also falling in your 3rd house of communication and ideas and local events and neighborhood activities, and again, about writing and marketing. And so even though we're in review period, Mercury is retrograde until July 12th. And then it'll be it'll be direct again in Cancer, in a cardinal action oriented sign. And let's see here. And then we've got Mars will be retrograde. So Mars has entered the sign of Aries. It entered on June 27th, and it entered the cardinal fire sign of Aries, which transits in your 12th house. That's very much behind the scenes. That brings up your subconscious fears. It brings up dreams. It's the imagination, but it also brings up very distant memories and things that have been suppressed, and childhood fears, really primal things that happen in your life. And Mars will be transiting in the sign of Aries until January 3rd of next year. And it's really good for doing a lot of self-healing. And, Chiron is also transiting in that sector for you. And Chiron is the wounded healer. It's also retrograde, but it's giving you an ability to do healing work, and really probably bringing up a lot of dreams, and it's good for, again, meditating and really trying to find some quiet, focusing on your dreams and your imagination. But it can bring up some painful stuff. It might dig things up for you. But that's another cycle that's going to be going on for the rest of the year. So whether it's getting into something where you're manifesting with friends once a month or once a week, or getting into some kind of manifesting group, looking up stuff, look stuff up like on Hay House on ways to, whether it's, they're offering so many great things on, I think sometimes they offer them for free or very inexpensive prices for, downloading certain, courses or books they have, and different ways, different things that resonate with you about manifesting and journaling and working with dreams and such. But that is going to be a big focus, because a lot of your fears and subconscious blocks could also get triggered with that. And again, this new moon in Cancer that's going to occur on the 20th of June is going to be, I think, helpful to bring and initiate new beginnings for you. And then we have on the 27th of June, Jupiter in Capricorn is going to form a sextile to Neptune, and that's a very manifesting energy, and one to work with, again, with meditation and manifesting. So I wish you a lot of luck, Taurus. It's, Venus, the ruler of your sign, again, was retrograde from May 13th until June 25th, and your sign is one of the few signs where the planet retrogrades. It doesn't retrograde annually. It only retrogrades once every year and a half, and it retrogrades in Gemini once every 8 years. And for you, that's your second house of what's of value and income. It's also self-value. So reassessing all of those areas, and that's been a big theme. And Venus will be transiting in that area of your chart until August 8th. So that's a big deal. And Mars transiting the 12th house of dreams. Do a lot of healing work. Get some crystals that cleanse. Go to the ocean or take some sea salt baths, or do some, burn some sage or Palo Santo, and really get rid of negative energy and focus on manifesting and transforming and doing some kind of healing work. Get some distant Reiki or Reiki locally from a distance, but in some way, but be careful, but do some healing work and really work with that. And a lot of luck, and thank you very much. Take care. Bye.